Good afternoon, everybody. If you can take a seat, we'll go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everyone to UB's third annual 3-minute thesis competition. And to begin with, I would like to ask UB's President Satish K. Tripathi to come to the stage and offer some welcoming remarks.
Thank you, Graham, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm really delighted to welcome all of you to the third annual 3-minute thesis competition hosted by our graduate school and the Blackstone Launchpad here at UB. First, I would like to offer my heartfelt congratulations to today's finalists. It is a great achievement to reach this point in the competition. And to our panel of community judges, thank you. Thank you for your participation and for helping us determine the winners of today's competition. Truth be told, I don't envy you. One of the judges early on asked me, how do you have done your 3-minute presentation when you were doing your dissertation? I told that I could only do 1 minute or I needed 10 minutes. 3 minutes is very hard because you got enough time to say something, but not enough time to say something very, very profound. So I'm hoping, listening to the competition last year, I really found that the presentations were excellent. Actually, you did say something profound in those 3 minutes. So you're much better prepared. You're here working with the faculty members, and I'm sure they have given you guidance how to go about doing it. And UB really is a research university where doctoral program is central to our mission. If you look at the AAU institutions, one of the categories where they evaluate the institutions who are in these 60 US and 2 Canadian elite institutions in terms of how many doctoral students are there and how many graduate there and what do they do after they graduate. So your success is our success. That's how we are evaluated in terms of our research institutions. It's really also good to know that UB awards 1 in 10 of all doctoral degree conferred in New York State. We really are a major research institution in the state of New York. I'm eager to see how our doctoral candidates, as the next generation of professionals and academic leaders, will harness their creativity and intellect for the betterment of the world. And in the short term, I'm eager to see how our finalists will consolidate and convey their ideas in 180 seconds or less. Now that my 3 minutes are up, I would like to again congratulate all of you and best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you, President Tripathi. My name is Graham Hamill, and I am Vice Provost for Educational Affairs and Dean of the Graduate School. And I want to welcome everybody to this 3-minute thesis competition, which is a campus-wide competition that asks advanced doctoral students to present their research to a panel of non-specialists in just 3 minutes. The 3 minutes is timed, so it really is exactly just 3 minutes. This event is co-sponsored by the Graduate School and Blackstone Launchpad, powered by Techstars. And I want to thank Hadar Borden, Neil Patel, and Hannah Fay from Blackstone Launchpad. And also I'd like to thank Sandy Flash, Sue Adenolfi, and Brittany Iannucci from the Graduate School for all the work they've done to bring this event to UB. And I would like to recognize all of the students who are participating in today's competition. I wish all of you a lot of luck. The 3-minute thesis competition was founded at University of Queensland in Australia in 2008. The competition is now being held in over 600 universities across more than 65 countries. And the competition itself has 2 main goals. The first goal is to share, recognize, and celebrate the excellent research that is undertaken by doctoral students across the globe. The second goal is to encourage graduate students to sharpen their ability to communicate their research both effectively and concisely. At UB, we understand the importance of advanced research, which is central to our mission as a Research One university. However, communicating the importance of that research can be a real challenge. Most doctoral students, in fact, most faculty, spend their days in labs or in libraries talking with other doctoral students and talking with other academics. It can be extremely difficult to explain the value of our research projects, let alone explain that value in a concise way. And yet, if our research is going to have an impact on the broader world, which we really want to happen, we have to be able to communicate our research in an effective way. The 3-minute thesis competition aims to help graduate students do exactly that. To that end, preparation for the 3-minute thesis competition began in the fall of 2018 with workshops that were offered by the Graduate School and Blackstone Launchpad that were open to all graduate students at UB at the master's and the doctoral level. Workshops focused on the skills of communicating research. Students who are interested in participating in the competition presented their 3-minute pitches in a preliminary round which was held on North, South, and the downtown campuses. 30 students entered the preliminary round from all fields of study, broadly speaking, and that includes STEM fields, social sciences, education, arts, and the humanities. Today's finalists were selected from that initial group of 30 students. And in preparation, each finalist received individual coaching from a Blackstone Launchpad venture coach. Now, since this is a competition, there are, in fact, prizes. First place prize is $1,000. Second place prize is $750, and the third place prize is $500. There's also a People's Choice Award, which goes to the best presentation as selected by the audience here today, and that award is $250,000. And I would say, as Dean of the Graduate School, my hope is that the winners will use these funds to advance research, maybe attend a conference or go to an archive or buy something for your lab. But I would say it's also okay if you spend a little bit of that money celebrating. To begin the presentation, Benjamin Paluch, Business Development Associate from UB's Office of Business and Entrepreneurial Partnerships, will say a few words. The BEP, the Business and Entrepreneur Partnership, has graciously sponsored today's $1,000 first prize. So I'll invite Benjamin to the stage.
Good afternoon, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here today. My name is Benjamin Paluch, and as Graham said, I work in business development at Business and Entrepreneur Partnerships. In the spirit of the competition, I would like to tell you a little bit more about what our unit can do for students and faculty. Whoops, excuse me. BEP works to bring faculty and students together with companies of all sizes in the life sciences and manufacturing space for a couple different reasons. Reason number one is to really spur innovation. Reason number two is to solve societal challenges. And reason number three is to spark the growth and commercialization of ideas. If you bring the ideas, we can help you deliver them. It's both a win for you and for us and the university. Our team has the experts and resources you need to really grow your ideas. We can help you on a number of fronts. These include helping you to evaluate market fit in terms of making go or no-go decision making. We can also help you to connect with industry partners. That's really our role as matchmakers and connectors. And finally, we can help pair you and leverage financial opportunities here at the university and across the state. We're really here to support you every step along the way, from pre-company formation to accessing equipment and beyond. Innovation, believe it or not, is truly happening here at UB. As an example, I'd like to bring up Athenex. For those who don't know, Athenex is a global biopharmaceutical company that recently IPO'd or had an initial public offering in July of 2017. Athenex actually, along the way, it accessed equipment available at UB, as well as was a recipient of multiple cost-sharing projects and financial support. What many people don't realize is that Athenex actually began as Kinex, which spun out of the university, and last time I checked, is valued at approximately $800 million. It is proof that you can actually start a company here in Buffalo, and you can grow it all the way to an IPO. So with that, I'd like to thank the committee for giving me the opportunity to speak here today. I'd like to wish the finalists congratulations and the best of luck. We're here to support you, and I commend you really for taking the initiative to participate in this competition, and I look forward to your presentations. Thank you.
Thanks, Benjamin. I think I misspoke the People's Choice Award, which was $250. I don't even know what I said. I know that you're eager to start the competition, so let me introduce our celebrity guest master of ceremonies, Paul Peck, voice of the UB Bulls, who will now introduce the judges and the participants in today's competition.
I told Graham, way to kill the buzz in this place, huh? You had this whole place going crazy there for a minute. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Paul Peck. It's been my honor to be the voice of the Bulls athletically on the football, basketball, and other sides for approaching 20 years now. And as you might guess, most of my time is spent in the building next door. But I'm excited about this. I'm excited to be a part of some of the incredible things that are going on here at UB. And I get to see them on the athletic side, but I know there are so many more incredibly talented athletes, however we want to define them, that are a part of this university, and this competition is going to be part of it too. I was thinking that I've spent almost 25 years as a sportscaster here at Channel 4 in Buffalo, where the average length of a sportscast is 3 minutes. So I'm like, maybe I might be pretty good at this. So President Tripathi, maybe if you can give me a waiver into next year's competition, I can dive into an analytical study of the three-point shot or zone defense versus man-to-man. 3 minutes I might be pretty good at that. So, but it's a challenge. As for someone who has kind of whole life has been dictated by the clock, either that 3-minute sportscast or the clock of the game that I might be calling, or that producer in my ear telling me, you have 30 seconds to wrap up. This is a challenge for people that may not be used to it, but I know you guys are up to this, and I can't wait to hear what everybody has to say. All right, so the PhD students presenting their research today will be judged on their communication style in 2 different ways. First, was the research communicated in language appropriate to a non-specialist audience? Here's non-specialist right here. Second, was the one static slide allowed during each presentation clear and helpful in enhancing the presentation? In addition, the presentations will be judged on comprehension. Did they make the audience understand the research? Finally, presenters will be judged on how engaging they were. Did they leave you wanting to know more? So we're honored today to have an esteemed panel of judges whose evaluations will determine our first, second, and third place winners. Our panel of judges are made up of community leaders from a range of industries, including the arts, communications, and finance. Our judges are experienced professionals who have mastered the skill of communicating their work to broad audiences and therefore recognize the development of this critical skill in graduate studies, graduate students, and the potential global impact of doctoral research. So I want you all to give a nice warm welcome to our panel of judges. The first introduction belongs to Mike Anderson, Regional Retail Administrator from Bank on Buffalo. Mike, give everybody a wave, or stand up. There you go. Steve Bell is a crisis management consultant for Steve Bell Communications. Steve? and Mary Kate O'Connell, Executive and Artistic Director of the O'Connell and Company Productions. Mary Kate? See, there's another goal for everyone to strive for, to have their own name on their own company and be their own chief of a company with their name on. There's another goal for everyone. All right. We want to remind everybody that everyone in the audience today is also a judge. Your votes will determine the People's Choice Award winner. Not quite as much money as Graham alluded to, but we're still going to give out a winner, and that's a big part of what you guys are all here for as well. Okay, now to the competition. Our finalists today represent the absolute finest at UB. I will introduce each finalist to you, and as I am doing so, they will come up on stage and prepare to present. I will finish my introduction with the words, ready, set, pitch. The finalists may then take a moment to center themselves, and when they start speaking their first word, their slide will appear on the screen, and the 3-minute timer will begin. There are monitors on the center stage displaying the timer to both the presenter and to the audience and to the judges. Okay, so as I'm thinking about, well, how do I want to do this? How do I want to introduce all these incredibly talented folks and give them their just due? And I couldn't help but think of something. All season long at the UB basketball games and in a couple of hours next door at the home finale, the starting lineups are one of the cool moments of a basketball game. It gets everybody fired up when they say, senior from Dallas, Texas, 6'3" guard, C.J. Massenberg. Everybody goes nuts. They all come out and they high five and all that stuff. So I said, you know what? That's the difference between athletes and most of us here who are not high-level athletes. That doesn't really happen in our lives. You don't walk into Starbucks and there isn't a guy that says, here's Megan to order her mocha latte, right? That doesn't really exist in our lives. But guess what? You guys deserve that today. So each of your introductions will be the best way that I can give it to you, as if you were running out on the field or going through the gauntlet of cheerleaders and teammates at alumni arenas. So as we begin, are we ready? Are we ready to begin? From the country of Iran and the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, presenting the fountain of youth from embryonic life, please welcome Aref Shahini. Wait, Aref, I forgot the most important part. Wow, how about that? I forgot the most important part. He's over there waiting for him like he's supposed to say something. All right, ready, set, pitch.
Hi. So you know that as we age, we lose our strength. We are not as strong like how we used to when we were young. When we are 25, we lift quite heavy. When we are 90, no, we are not going to do that. So, and did you know that actually we spend $18 billion every year for disability? Did you know that 45% of our aging population are frail? How can we overcome that? What is the resolution to that? To this purpose, we look into the physiology of a skeletal muscle, those muscles that are responsible for movements. And what we find is that those stem cells that are in the muscle are responsible for regeneration of muscle throughout life. However, when we are old, those stem cells are also old. They are exhausted. They cannot form muscle for us. So what I do in my research is that I look into a way to make those old stem cells young again. To this end, I seek help from embryonic life. Embryonic life is that first stage of life when the embryo is forming. And interestingly, there is a gene that is active in that first stage that maintains youth in the baby. What we do in the lab is that we take that gene using gene editing tools and we invert it into the old stem cells of an adult. And what we observed was fantastic. Those old stem cells become young again. They could form muscle again for an old individual. This is amazing. The muscle that was being made, it was functional. So what we can do down the road is that we can use gene therapy methods to include this gene from the embryonic life into the old stem cells of an adult. And therefore, that person will gain back his regenerative capacity. He will gain back his muscles, like when he used to when he was 25. He will be able to probably lift and run, like how he was young. This has a broad impact on our society and as us living all together. Because now our elderlies are stronger. They are able to take care of their everyday tasks. And not only we are going to save those billions of dollars that we pay for disability, but we are going to gift a healthy aging to our aging population, to our baby boomers, who are the senior citizens of today. And for me and you, as a young adult, it means a brighter future. It means that in a close future, we will be aged stronger, and we will live a better life. And for science, it means a new venue, a new chain of thoughts, that aging is reversible. You heard me right. Aging can be reversed. Thank you for listening.
Well done, Aref. Congratulations, and I think we are off to a terrific start. So now everybody has a feel for what we're doing here today and exactly what kind of pressure there is on each of our presenters. So again, Aref, good job. Always toughest to be the guy who goes first. Our judges are thinking and compiling now and setting their votes. So now I will get you ready to introduce our second presenter. She hails from Boise, Idaho, and the College of Arts and Sciences, presenting Bulgaria to Buffalo, bridging past and present. It's Ashley Hart. Ready, set, pitch.
I may be the most boring archaeologist that you've never heard of, because I don't raid tombs or carry a whip like Indiana Jones. In reality, archaeology is the study of ancient garbage by overly caffeinated workaholics. So, when you're in a hurry to get to your morning class, and you trip over your cat, breaking your coffee mug, remember that this discarded crockery is what future archaeologists will study about your life. These seemingly mundane pieces provide insight into the human experience. This is why I chose to study over 20,000 broken ceramics from nearly 3,000 years ago during my year as a Fulbright scholar in Bulgaria. The archaeologist studying your mug will quickly learn it was made by Buffalo China sometime in the last 100 years based on a stamp on the bottom. In the case of much older ceramics, however, this type of analysis requires analytical testing. The first test I used X-rays to force ceramics to give up energy, which was measured and assigned to different elements. The comparison of elemental signatures between the ceramics and the local clay sources allowed me to pinpoint the exact location where clay was acquired. In the second test, I sliced ceramics thinner than paper to analyze the material added to the clay and the firing conditions that informed conclusions about the vessel function. The results of these testing revealed that a manufacturing change occurred. The local potters adopted a new technology, the pottery wheel, which ultimately led to changes in everything from clay acquisitioning to firing and vessel form and decoration. Understanding how and why change occurs is the most difficult task for archaeologists. Interpreting that a cat was responsible for your broken mug is quite presumptuous, no matter how true. In my research, my hypothetical cat is connected to debates about Greek colonialism. The typical assertion is that Greek colonies caused major changes within the local population, i.e. the pottery wheel. But my research revealed that the local potters continued to make the same handmade pottery in the same technological tradition throughout the period, while the wheel-made vessels went through a cycle of use and then were discarded. Humans have utilized ceramics for thousands of years without major changes in the basic form and function throughout different historical periods, making them important indicators of cultural change. New technology promotes advancement and change, but oftentimes traditions are maintained. These Bulgarian ceramics have never been systematically analyzed, so the results inform new perspectives about the past and began to fill a gap in history. So, the next time you're sitting at a coffee shop, consider the much deeper history behind the mug, not just in terms of the long history of manufacturing that led to this invention, but also think about the archaeologists in the future that will use that exact mug to write a dissertation or thesis about the resurgence of buffalo, based on your actions and experience in that coffee shop. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Our next presenter, from the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, a native of Tehran, Iran, he's presenting the future of wind turbines, 3D printed blades. Please welcome Hamid Kakpour. Ready, set, pitch.
1.2 billion people in the world do not have access to the electricity. 9 out of 10 are breathing polluted air, leading to 7 million deaths each year. Wind energy, as the largest new green energy, is a great solution for these problems. It produces low-cost electricity. It also creates jobs. In fact, the wind turbine technician is currently second fastest growing job in the US. However, in order to sustain its growth, the technology must continue to evolve and get better efficiencies. And that's why the turbines are getting bigger, because the bigger ones are more economical in creating electricity. Sandia National Lab is working on a 650 feet blade. It's so big that I couldn't even fit it within the screen. However, the current design and manufacturing methods and infrastructure do not facilitate implementation of larger turbines. Moreover, the current blades have fixed geometry, and they are optimal only for one wind speed, while we know that the wind speed is constantly changing. These challenges made International Energy Agency to call for novel rotor design. Now, if you have a solution that's tackling all of these problems, well, you can run the table in this $65 billion green market. And that's what we targeted with our novel design called AM Blade, which won the NSF I-Core Award. It's a modular blade made out of 3D printed segments. The blade has a flexible structure and adjusts itself to the optimal shape using the actuator as wind speed changes. The 3D printing was selected because it can create complex geometries required for our design. This emerging technology also removes the need for molds that can cost up to $5 million. Moreover, this design reduces the loading on the structure and consequently failure of the turbine. So, this design's modularity makes its transportation easier. It increases the electricity production and it reduces the maintenance cost. We envision that as 3D printing evolves, it will be possible to print the blades right at the installation site, and as a result, resolve the transportation issue completely. Now, if you have a turbine and you're looking for a win-win trade, you better call AM Blade. Thank you.
Congratulations, Hamid. Well done. Give our judges a moment to finish off their voting here before we move on to our fourth presenter. We're off to a great start. First three out of the way, nerves hopefully out of the way. Now everybody else coming up knows what pressure they're up against. Our fourth presenter, her title is War Against Cancer. Drop the knife and grab a laser. From Kolkata, India, say hello to Riddhi Falk Mahapatra. Ready, set, pitch.
Let us consider this entire room as a human body. All the contestants, myself included, could be the internal organs of this body, and the rest of you guys, and Paul included, could be the awesome immune system. It is your job as the immune system to protect the contestants or the organs against germs, and you're doing a great job. It is also your job to protect them against cancer. That is where you need some improvement. When you look at the contestants, myself included, you think everybody is looking really sharp, especially today, and you think all is good. What you fail to realize is camouflaged among the contestants, there is someone who is cancer. And because you, the immune system, fail to recognize that, cancer will now take over the entire room. But what if your job was made easy? What if cancer were to stand before you and declare openly that I am the one who is cancer? Now it is the entire immune system versus the tiny me. I don't stand a chance. This is what I'm trying to achieve in my PhD. How to make cancer reveal its true identity to the immune system. Our idea is, let's put the cancer under a lot of stress. That might force it to shed the camouflage. To test this idea, we're using a drug. This drug will go into all parts of the body, including in me, cancer, and in Paul. I didn't forget about you. Now, this drug is perfectly harmless until you expose it to light. So now, we turn on the laser and we focus the light only on cancer. The drug starts to act in cancer and it puts cancer under a lot of stress. As a result, just as we expected, cancer sheds its camouflage. All the abnormal markers it was hiding from the immune system are now released. Now the immune system can see cancer and it proceeds to do what it is meant to do, kill cancer. This way, we have been successful to cure cancer in our experimental mice. You'll be happy to know that in Buffalo's very own Roswell Park, we are refining this treatment for patients. So no more painful surgeries, goodbye knives. And the best part is, by focusing the light only on cancer, we prevent any harmful side effects on the rest of the body. So my research is helping you guys, the immune system, obtain a better weapon in your war against cancer. To help protect the internal organs, it's time we drop the knives and grab a laser. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Riddy. That's a new career moment for me. That's the first time I've ever personally been included in a thesis presentation, so thank you, Riddy. Something else that I can check off on my list of things to do. All right, our fifth presenter of the day. He's from nearby Newfane, New York, via the Jacobs School of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences, presenting on precision medicine through computational drug repurposing. Let's welcome Jim Schuler. Ready, set, pitch.
Current drug discovery pipelines are broken. It takes more than 15 years and over $2 billion to bring a new drug to the market. And what do we, the patients, get for all this time and money invested into research and development? We get high costs at the pharmacy and drugs whose advertisements on TV include a cornucopia of side effects that are worse than the disease they're treating. My research in computational drug repurposing simply means I use computers to find new uses for already FDA-approved drugs to make this whole drug discovery process more efficient and more effective. Nobel Prize-winning scientist James Black described drug repurposing as a type of drug recycling and the most fruitful way to discover a new drug. One classic example of drug repurposing is Viagra. Originally developed to treat high blood pressure and chest pain, male participants in the early clinical trials of Viagra noticed some peculiar side effects pop up, so to speak. This secondary, unintentional use of the drug was a serendipitous discovery. One aim of my work is to make the entire process systematically serendipitous. Medicines work through their interaction with proteins, the small molecular machineries inside your cells. In my computational modeling of all FDA-approved drugs and all human proteins, which you see several models of on the screen right there, I claim that a drug may be used to treat diseases normally associated with a different drug if their profiles of protein interactions are similar. In addition to molecular binding data, I incorporate other types of data into my models and can validate my claims using data entered into electronic medical records. All models in science have their limitations, but my models are larger, more accurate, and thus more useful than any which have come before. Changes in your DNA means that your proteins are different than my proteins and are different than your neighbor's proteins, which means that medicines work differently in each of us. Traditional drug discovery pipelines don't have the ability to predict or detect these changes, meaning that real people, such as yourself, suffer from low efficacy of drugs and a burden of side effects. It is easy and inexpensive for me to incorporate your unique set of proteins into my models so that I am able to claim a drug can be used to uniquely target your disease. Let me say that again. I can make individualized drug repurposing predictions. The goal of precision medicine needs two things to be realized: being able to determine your genome and knowing what drug can tailorly target your genome. Science has already succeeded in sequencing your genome for less than $1,000. My work is critical in the realization of that second step, bringing an already developed drug specifically targeted to treat your disease for perhaps even less than that amount. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Well done. All right, we're right about halfway here. We are moving and flying, which I think was the whole goal of this afternoon, right? To get everybody to get in and get out and get their points across, and everyone so far has done a wonderful job in doing that. All right, our next presenter. He comes from the College of Arts and Sciences, a native of China, and he's asking us today, is flu following you in leisure time activities? I certainly hope not, but I can't wait to find out the answer from Sharon Zhang. Ready, set, pitch.
Last time when you got the flu, instead of who it came from, have you ever thought about where it came from? During last year's flu season, over 6,000 influenza cases were reported in Niagara and Erie counties. We all know that the spread of influenza has been largely facilitated by human mobility. But when we talk about human mobility, most people only focus on where you live or where you work. In fact, we can easily get the flu during our leisure time activities, such as meeting a friend in a restaurant, going to the church, or listening to a talk right here in this room. Very few studies have been concerned about leisure time activities because it is super challenging to collect such information through traditional approaches. Our memories are tricky. If I ask you where did you go in the past week, you might not be able to remember it all. You might remember that you went to the Galleria Mall and spent a fortune there, but you might have forgotten that you went to Wegmans. So a much more advanced approach of data collection is much needed here to investigate the impact of leisure time activities. In the past few years, our Spatial Network Lab has developed a smartphone app to track people's GPS locations, which can help us to track their leisure time activities. At the same time, we also ask about their health status, if they got a flu or not. So this can help us to understand the association between their leisure time activities and the spread of influenza. In total, we recruited more than 2,000 participants from Niagara and Erie counties. And now we are using some techniques such as deep learning, a very powerful machine learning approach, to investigate the regularity of their leisure time activities. And what we found interesting is that some people tend to go to the gym every week, probably because they are more self-disciplined. Some people tend to go to the barbershop and the church approximately every 3 weeks, which implies that they are more likely to skip the church instead of skipping the barbershop. Those people, they are probably exposed to different level of health risk due to the different regularity in their leisure time activities. So knowing about when and where people go in their leisure time and how often they go can help us to better estimate their vulnerability to health risk, and also can help us to identify the high-risk areas. And now we are also collaborating with some on-campus institutions to develop some vaccination distribution strategies. And we believe that our research can help devise the intervention strategy that can effectively contain the spread of influenza, reduce the burden of healthcare, and most importantly, save lives. Thank you very much.
Sharon, where does a leisure activity of hanging out with about 7,000 of your closest friends and Bulls fans for the rest of the evening rank on your, all right, hopefully low. And by the way, you can easily spend a fortune at Wegmans just as much as you can at the Galleria. I can't get through like the dessert and baked goods section there. So well done. Good job. All right, our seventh presenter of the day. And this next presenter hails from the Graduate School of Education via Poughkeepsie, New York. Her presentation, Celebrate the First, learning from successful first-generation college students. This graduate student is Heather Hagenbu. Heather, ready, set, pitch.
Okay, so I gotta be honest. My research project stems from the fact that I did the PhD process all wrong, completely backwards. You see, I was already teaching and advising at a university, working in a program that specialized in supporting first-generation college students. Now, like anyone here, I wanted to be good at my job. So I took out books and read articles and read as much as I could about first-generation college students. Specifically, I looked for articles on how do we help first-generation college students be successful. And you know what? There was a depressingly small amount of literature. People weren't talking about that. Now that makes sense. You see, there are 3.6 million first-generation college students in the United States, and that is because 1 out of every 3 students is first-gen. First-generation college students graduate at a rate of about 65%, whereas their peers graduate at a rate of about 82%. There is a true disparity there. So these researchers are not wrong. We want to know, why is this happening? Why are there different rates among students? But you see, I went to work every day and met some of the most talented people of my life. Not to mention, I myself was first generation. So the focus on first generation college students not doing it well it didn't seem right. It didn't fit the people that I met every day. So we began to say, what happens if we change the framework? There are close to 1 million first-generation college students every year who do not complete the degree we're seeking. But instead of focusing on why is that, why don't we look at the over 2.5 million first-generation college students that are graduating? Why don't we take their daily lives from a national perspective and say, tell us about the things that helped contribute to your degree completion? What helped you get through college? Let's learn from you. What kinds of things can we do as administrators in higher education to help make the pathway more streamlined for students? So what this research project does is it looks at a national level data set and begins to analyze what students are doing on a daily basis, specifically looking for activities that we can include in the college curriculum. Writing assignments, working with research professors, getting to know about with graduate school and the research process early on in their career. And so the idea is, let us increase the number of students that are graduating. As a society, how much better are things going to be when students who come to college and say, I have a passion, I want to learn about something, are able to navigate the college process. But we really need to learn about what helps get these students through. So the idea is just changing the framework. 65% of first-generation college students graduate. Let's hear their stories. What do they have to tell us that can support the world around them? So we've got some great promising results coming forward, and we look forward to continuing adding things in our college curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. All right, our 8th presenter of the afternoon. This gentleman represents the Roswell Park Graduate Division and Horseheads, New York. His presentation, Demystifying the Fog, Electronic Nicotine Delivery Systems. Well, I deliver to you Zachary Dunbar. Ready? You look like you're ready. Set. Pitch.
Raise your hand if you know what an e-cigarette is. Wow, that's a lot of you. Okay, hang with me, you might learn something. Okay. E-cigarettes can also be called electronic nicotine delivery systems. And the definition for what that means is right in the name. Electronic, these are products that are heated by batteries instead of burning. Nicotine delivery, you use them to inhale and exhale nicotine. And systems, they come in a variety of shapes and sizes. So you may have a massive vaporizer that you use on YouTube videos to look cool, or a tiny little Juul that you use to take one hit and be done. They still have the same point. You're using these products to get a nicotine fix. And speaking of Juul, that brand made more than $1 billion in profit in 2017. So there's a lot of controversy around using these products because they're so popular. So if you want to start to understand the controversy behind e-cigarette use and win a lot of Twitter fights, you have to understand who's using the products, how they're using those products, where they're using their products, and what those products' use means to passerby. How these products affect nearby people, plants, dogs, cats, babies. To start to understand that, my study looked at people who are cigarette and e-cigarette smokers. To stop it being confusing, I'm going to refer to those cigarette smokers as tobacco users. So we looked at those individuals using a national data set, and we probed their reasons for use in smoke-free places. Those are places where you can't smoke tobacco. What we found was that if you're a person who thinks your e-cigarette is safer to use than regular tobacco, you were more likely to report using that e-cigarette in places you can't smoke tobacco. Now that has a lot of important policy ramifications because there's things called smoke-free indoor air laws, and those are meant to protect people from hazardous exposure to tobacco smoke. But if you're vaping in those places, who knows what you're exposing people to? So, to start to understand what kinds of chemicals are in the aerosol, we introduced study 2 and 3, where we are using Juul and Blue brand e-cigarette devices. We're smoking them in a controlled setting, and we're assessing the airborne nicotine, PM2.5, and heavy metal exposure posed to people from the e-cigarette aerosol. And the reason for that is so that you can start to understand the risks posed by these people, by the use of these products. So raise your hand again if you think that future product regulations should be based in science instead of industry recommendations or guesswork. Now pat your back because you get it. So that's what this study is all about. That's what this thesis is all about, doing science to provide regulatory findings and framework for future regulations. Thanks.
Thank you, Zachary. This is kind of the Twitter equivalent of a thesis presentation, right? You know, it's kind of the 140. Are we up to 280 now on Twitter, right? 280 on the characters? There's a millennial in the room that knows the answer to that question, right? You get the point. It's not really a true indication of Twitter because at this point no one has called me an idiot or told me I don't know what I'm talking about. But we may still get to that, and I haven't checked my phone yet. So, all right, our ninth presenter. He's going to ask she in this case is going to ask the question, can artificial intelligence help end poverty? Well, the lady with that answer from nearby Williamsville, direct from the School of Computer Science and Engineering, say hello to Nidhi Pokhriyal. Nidhi, ready, set, pitch.
More than 330 million people live in extreme poverty in Africa. The important factor in ending poverty is assessing it accurately and frequently so that appropriate policies can be planned. Thus, my research focuses on building techniques for improved measurement of poverty. Current ways to estimate poverty include detailed household surveys and census, which cost billions of dollars and 5 to 10 years. Irrespective of whatever measure the government takes in reducing poverty, they always need a baseline, kind of poverty maps, which show the distribution of poor people across the country. As a part of this work, I traveled to Senegal in West Africa, which has persistently high levels of poverty. These are the poverty maps for the country. The one on the left shows the existing poverty map, and it is evident how dividing the country into 4 coast regions makes it very difficult to pinpoint where poor people live. The map on the right is obtained using my methodology and where we predict poverty at fine resolution, thus making it very easy to pinpoint people living in extreme poverty throughout the country. For this work, I used very new data sets like mobile phone data, satellite imagery, OpenStreetMaps, and environmental data. In totality, these data sets capture information about the interaction of human population, environmental factors, accessibility to schools, hospitals, markets, and so on. So factors that are all related to poverty. Then we built a machine learning model that learns the patterns within this data and estimates poverty for the entire country, and we do so very accurately. The significance of this research lies that now poverty can be estimated accurately, frequently, and can be pinpointed easily in between long cycles of census and surveys. There's another significance. Poverty can be estimated in areas of conflict and remote areas which are difficult for census takers to travel. This work was published at the Proceedings of National Academy of Sciences. Currently, I'm involved in building such techniques for other countries like Haiti, which is one of the poorest countries in Western Hemisphere, and also closely working with the local governments of these countries so that the actual benefit of this research reaches to the most vulnerable of human population, like women and children. Thank you.
Thank you, Needy. Congratulations. Well done. All right, we're down to the home stretch here, our final 3 presenters of the afternoon. Hopefully everyone is kind of making some mental notes when they're ready for that People's Choice Award. We know our judges are working hard as well, too. All right, next up, he's here to shed some light on cancer detection from Lake Ronkonkoma, New York, and the College of Arts and Sciences. It's Konstantinos Plakas. Ready, set, pitch.
Good afternoon. Please raise your hand if you or someone you know has been affected by cancer. Me too. I lost my aunt when I was about 13. For every 10 of you joining us in the audience today, 4 of you will be diagnosed with cancer at some point throughout your life. Of those that are diagnosed, up to 20% won't survive their battle. I realize these are troubling statistics I presented you with, but I would encourage you to remain optimistic because I think cancer is a problem that we can solve. The scientific community has done a terrific job developing new anti-cancer medicine, but the main issue remains that we catch cancer too late, with most diagnoses still coming at stage 3 and 4, where your chances of survival are minimal. Alternatively, when we catch cancer early, we can treat it more effectively. A stage 1 or 2 diagnosis will carry with it up to a 90% chance of being able to be cured. The goal of my research is to develop a new screening technique called Surface Enhanced Raman Spectroscopy, or SERS, that we could use to catch more patients at the stage 1 and 2 category. To describe this technology, I'd like us first to consider an analogy. I want you to envision your body as being represented by a satellite-generated map. Now, if you're anything like me, you needed a map to get here today, regardless of how close you might work to this actual building. Maps can do a great job at showing us how to get from point A to B, but what they can't do is provide us real-time information. For example, it would have been very useful to know what sidewalks were icy on my walk over today. Instead, it would be much more useful if we had a reporter, someone who could sort of travel our route for us and then give us information back in real time. The goal of my research is to develop these reporters that we can inject into you, that travel around your body and report back information about different diseases that might be developing. My reporters are non-toxic, and they're also remarkably sensitive, capable of detecting just a few thousand cancer cells. Something else of note is that my reporters and this technology is minimally invasive, much more so than current clinical imaging like X-rays, MRIs, and CAT scans, meaning that the 70% of cancer deaths that occur worldwide in developing countries, we can now image and detect and treat there too. The most promising aspect of this technology is that we can inject multiple reporters into you simultaneously and have each report back on different information and different diseases that might develop in the near future, saving a physician time and enabling them to treat you more effectively. Now, if you think this sounds far-fetched or too good to be true, well, then I'm happy to say this is already in use in operating rooms with our collaborators in the United Kingdom. And it's my hope that this soon will become the global gold standard used in the United States as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Konstantinos. Sure, somebody else just coming up with another way to eliminate us human reporters. Way to go on that one. Although I don't think I'm neither qualified nor I really want to be involved in what he's working on. You can run with that one. Next up, from Nasik, India, and the College of Arts and Sciences, the presentation, Sex Influences Wiring. Please welcome Aditi Chaubey. Ready, set, pitch.
A question that has puzzled scientists, doctors, psychologists, and even Hollywood is what makes men and women different. We know that beyond the physical features and the inner anatomy, there are differences even in the brain and the millions of neurons that make up these brains. Unfortunately, women's brains have been completely neglected from studies on neurological disorders, something that has only been revised in the past 40 years. Research has shown that men and women are different when it comes to the different aspects of a neurological disorder stages: onset, progress, and even response to drugs. Studies have also shown that men and women are different when it comes to pain perception, with women being more susceptible to pain than men. But we don't know why and how this is, and studies in human brains are very difficult, as you can imagine. Enter C. elegans. These tiny 1 millimeter long worms have really tiny brains made up of only 302 neurons. But fundamentally, they are functionally similar to how complicated human brains work. So studies in brains of worms can give us an insight into how human brains work. There are two sexes when it comes to C. elegans: hermaphrodite, or females shown here in red, and males shown here in blue. The question I asked was simple: are there differences in the pain perception between these sexes? And there indeed were. Hermaphrodites were more responsive to painful stimuli and responded highly, or even more than males. Males tended to ignore the harmful stimuli and kept moving on. The next question I wanted to ask was it the sex of the brain that was responsible for this behavior? And to answer that, I used genetic and molecular biology tools to design worms that had the sex of their brain completely divorced. Yes, we could do that. Now we had hermaphrodites with male brains and males with hermaphrodite brains. And to our surprise, their behavior completely switched. So hermaphrodites were now behaving like males, and males were now responding like hermaphrodites. So it was indeed the sex of the brains that was responsible for the differences in pain perception that we saw. Imagine doing this in humans, changing the sex of the brains. It makes for a good script for a romantic comedy, but in reality, it is impossible to do so. My research will help understand pain perception better and maybe come up with drugs that will be designed only for a specific sex. On this International Women's Day, I can confidently say that there would be a day when women won't have to suffer in pain and will go out and seize the day. Because why should men have all the fun? Thank you.
Well done, Aditi. Congratulations. Our final presenter from Cairo, Egypt. He's the pride of the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, and he'll tell us, whether we want to know or not, how to swim without dying in poop water. I don't know what else to say other than to have you welcome Abdul Rahman Hasabala. All right, for our final one of the day, you guys want to all help me with the last thing I'm supposed to say here? You ready? Ready, set, pitch.
Whether you do it first thing in the morning or prefer an evening session, most of us here, once relieved, tend to use water to flush away our poop. Sometimes, as in the case with me, it even takes 2 flushes. It's a dirty business we all partake in, but tend not to think about it once it's all gone. Now imagine if all that poop water did not go away. Instead, it's sitting around in our backyards or collecting in Lake LaSalle. We would be living in a public health nightmare. My PhD focuses on how we can use organic and novel techniques to treat sewage. We as humans treat sewage through extensive sanitation treatment. Sanitation treatment is important for society to function, and according to the British Medical Journal, it is the most important medical advancement of the past century and a half. Now, there are many steps to how we can treat sewage. One of those steps is through disinfection by chlorine to kill off pathogens, bacteria that can make us sick. Once sewage is treated, we release it from treatment facilities into the swimming pools of nature, such as rivers and lakes. We recently learned, however, that small amounts of chlorine, just 100 micrograms per liter, can remain in this treated sewage, and when released, it can be harmful to the environment, toxic to fish, and carcinogenic to humans. This can happen here every summer when combined sewers overflow into Lake Erie. It is an alarming wake-up call, and there is a need for an alternative disinfectant suitable to treat our sewage without harming the environment. That is why I'm investigating the effects of organic acids against bacteria found in sewage. The word acid may sound a little scary, but the kind I'm studying is called peracetic acid, and it's not very different from vinegar, the salad dressing vinegar. And when released, it's relatively harmless. Peracetic acid is more expensive than the traditionally used chlorine, but it is not as expensive as other treatment options already established in the industry, such as UV or ultraviolet light. But then again, anything worth having doesn't come easy or cheap, especially when it comes to water, Earth's most valuable resource. I'm proud to say that my research serves as a critical contribution towards leading the way in understanding how peracetic acid works, not only against bacteria, but also against viruses, parasites with their own slew of diseases and health effects. The research is novel because I also investigate the effects of peracetic acid in combination with established methods like UV. I do this using pilot scale studies at treatment facilities in addition to laboratory scale experiments here at UB. This allows us to understand its scalability against a wide range of fecal indicators. I believe it is research with big implications that can positively disrupt the industry by safeguarding the health of society and the environment we are inherently a part of. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. I hope that you all enjoyed these presentations as much as I did. They were amazing and outstanding, and let's show our appreciation by giving a round of applause to all 12 of their presenters today. You know, what's the old saying that when people are polled, most people would say they fear death more than, or public speaking more than they do death. So most of us would rather die than do what these guys and gals did today. So for them, congratulations. It is not easy, and they did an outstanding job. Okay, I'm going to invite our judges to step out of the room so they can deliberate about the presentations and determine who our winners are. So you guys can go off to the hermetically sealed judging room and discuss all this. It's all done on the iPads now anyway, so we probably got the supercomputer here at UB compiling all the stats as we speak anyway, but Mike, Steve, and Mary Kate will go deliberate and determine our winners, and everybody here is a winner, but we are going to crown the first, second, and third place winners, though. Just the amazing thought and that went into these, and have gone into the theses themselves, and the research and the hard work is incredible. I think for all of us that don't necessarily live in that world, it's an incredible amount of admiration that we all have for everything, not just our 12 presenters, but everybody here at UB who is involved in the incredible research that goes on. All right, now, remember, everybody in this room is a judge as well today. So it is now time to vote for the finalists that you feel like did the best job of communicating their research today. So everybody get out your phone, your tablet, your laptop, or anything else that you have, and pull up this website. This is where you're going to vote. The website address showing on the screen. The voting is now open. Enter your votes now. And to keep in the theme of the 3-minute thesis, we are going to give this audience 3 minutes to vote. I will ask our official scorekeeper, if she hasn't already, start the timer now. All right, so everybody put a little thought into this. If anybody is having any issues accessing the website, I'm sure someone here can help you do that, but it should be pretty easy and seamless. Hopefully this is the only time that you're in this room for something as important as this, that everyone in the room is looking at their phones. All right, I can't see the clock, so you guys can let me know when we are down to no time left, unless everybody in here has already done their voting. All right, are we getting close? No? Anything exciting on social media today that I should know about while everyone who's already voted is already checking, right? Who in the room right now is watching a dog or a cat video? So hold your hand up, someone. All right, we're under 30 seconds to go. Has everybody made their vote, or do we still have a few people that are going to go right to the deadline here? All right, well, as you finish up, try to get done before we hit 0 there. Of course, those votes will be compiled, and we will announce our People's Choice winner as well. But while our main panel of judges is deliberating right now, we got a little entertainment for you. So as they are working on figuring out 1, 2, and 3, it is my pleasure to introduce to you UB's own N-Chords. Please give them a warm welcome. The N-Chords.
One old man is enough. Babe, you got it wrong. Please turn your fears into trust, to trust where the love goes when all is said and done. Where the love go, you put the running into run.
You're saying those words like you hate me now. Our house is burning when you're raising hell. Here in the ashes, your soul cries out. So don't be afraid of these thunderclouds. These thunderclouds, oh, these thunderclouds. All I need is love. All I need is a word. All I need is us. You turn nouns into verbs. To verbs. Where did love go when all is said and done? Where did love go? You put the running into run.
You're saying those words like you hate me now. Our house is burning when you're raising hell. Here in the ashes, your soul cries out. Don't be afraid of these thunderclouds. These thunderclouds, whoa. These thunderclouds, whoa. These thunderclouds. These thunderclouds. These thunderclouds. These thunderclouds. These thunderclouds. Whoa.
Hi guys, we're the Encords. We're UB's only co-ed a cappella group. We are so excited to be here today and helping to stall for the judges a little bit. Hopefully it's not, too much of a bore for us to be here for you guys, but we're gonna keep going, sing a couple more songs for you guys, and it's gonna be, cool. Hey, mommy. She walking so fast, she walking so fast, she walking so fast. Oh, a lady, she don't know how she go. She walking so fast, she walking so fast, she walk like a babe. Hey, her image it lasts, and I know she floats along as she goes. She owns the eyes as she flies right through the sound, moving her body all around town. Hey, hey, mommy, hey, hey, mommy. I know what you want, I know what you want, I know what you want. Sooner or later, the dudes at bodegas will hold their lips and on the shit, curling their toes on a chivalry tip. But out here, oh, she don't know the gravity she holds as she pulls on the eyeballs of all the kids standing tall. Hey, mommy, I know what you want, mommy. Hey, mommy, I know what you want, mommy. Hey, mommy. She walking so fast, she walking so fast, she walking so fast. Oh, a lady, she don't know how she go. She walking so fast, she walking so fast, she walk like a babe. Hey, her one. Sooner or later, the dudes at bodegas will hold their lips and on the shit, curling their toes on a shivery tip. But out here, oh, she don't know the gravity she holds. She pulls on the eyeballs of all the kids standing tall. I know what you want.
All right, got a few more for you guys while you're waiting for deliberations, and we're really happy to be here, so enjoy.
Ooga shaka, ooga, ooga, ooga shaka, ooga, ooga, ooga shaka, ooga, ooga, ooga shaka, ooga, ooga. I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's alright. I'm hooked on a feeling. I'm high on believing that you're in love with me.
Lips as sweet as candy, its taste is on my mind. Boy, you got me thirsty for another cup of wine.
Got a bug from you, girl, and I don't need no cure. I'll just stay your victim if I can for sure.
Oh, the good love when we're all alone. Keep it up, boy. You turn me on. I'm hooked on a feeling. I'm high on believing that you're in love with me.
All the good love when we're all alone. Keep it up, girl. Yeah, you turn me on.
I'm hooked on a feeling. I'm high on believing that you're in love with
me. Said I'm hooked on a feeling.
And I'm high on believing that you're in love with me.
Said I'm hooked on a feeling.
I remember when I in control. Well, I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy. Just like me. My heroes had the heart to the lights out on a limb. And all I remember is thinking, I wanna be like them. Oh, ever since I was little, it looked like fun. And it's no coincidence I've come. I can die when I'm done. But maybe I'm crazy. But maybe I'm crazy. But maybe I'm crazy. Probably. Maybe I'm crazy. But maybe we're crazy. But maybe I'm crazy. Possibly.
Okay, thank you guys so much. We're going to give the microphones back to the people that are running the show here, but thank you so much, and we'll see you guys out in the reception.
Big round of applause for the Encores. You guys were awesome. Congratulations. All right, the people doing the hard work here have put their effort in. Our judges are back, which means we have some awards to give out. To handle that most important duty, I welcome back Graham Hamill to let us know who our first, second, third place, and People's Choice winners are. Thank you for letting me be a part of this. This was amazing. Everyone here did an incredible job. Keep up the good work here. Go Bulls.
Okay, so this is the moment. I will call the name of the third award winner, second award winner, first award winner, and then People's Choice. When I call your name, please come to the stage and stay here. So the third award winner, How to Swim Without Dying in Poop Water, Abdulrahman Hasabala. Second place, Shedding Light on Cancer Detectant, Konstantinos Plakas. By the way, those checks are not real. They do not try to cash them at the bank. First place, War Against Cancer, Drop the Knife and Grab a Laser, Ridha Folk Maharashtra. And finally, People's Choice Award, also War Against Cancer, Drop the Knife and Grab a Laser, Ridha Folk Maharashtra. So thank you very much. I'd like to invite everyone to the atrium for a reception to congratulate all of the 3MT finalists.